Welcome to another edition of College Football Pub Hub right here on Pub Sports Radio. Saturday, September 17th. Ian Cameron, Conor Mac, Big Ragoo. Hoping to have DJ Big Boss with us momentarily. He's trying to connect. Let's jump right into it. Huge slate, as always, on this Saturday. Let's get it going with Cincinnati and Miami, Ohio, to get us going. Cincinnati now up to 23.5-point road favorites here, 50.5 being the total in this game. Coming into the season, we knew that there was a lot of change on this Cincinnati team. New quarterback, Ben Bryant, instead of Desmond Ridder, who left. A lot of losses on the defensive side of the football as well for Cincinnati. But I still think with the way Luke Fickell recruits, this was going to be a very good football team coming into the season, and they've really done nothing to change my opinion there. Miami O is going to be in tough today. Obviously, Brett Gabbert's injured. Won't play. It's Avion Smith who's going to be the quarterback here in this game. Played okay last week against Robert Morris for this team, but look, it's going to be a much different challenge here against this Bearcats team and defense specifically. I think the money's right to go up on Cincinnati here. They really have had a recent track record. They usually play each other every year, Cincinnati, Miami, Ohio, in-state battle, and Cincinnati's really dummied this team in years past, and wouldn't surprise me if they do it again, quite honestly. I really like Miami O. I think they're going to be a bet-on team in MAC play, but I don't like them today. It would be the Cincinnati side or nothing for me. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, it'd be Cincinnati for me too, but it's kind of gotten out of hand here. This isn't a game I'll be involved with. I like the at 50.5. I worry, 38-14, something like that. This could just get over, but I lean under in this one. I didn't bet it, but I'd be on the under. You good? We're good?
Yeah, I got you. Hey, but okay. This game here, I think the line's a little stiff for my liking early on in the season, but it has to be a Cincinnati or pass spot. Maybe a little under action in the first half for me here, but I'm not going to get to the side here. But I think the defenses will show up early on, and I think the game will open up later on. But first half under look for me.
All right, UConn and Michigan now next up. We've got Michigan laying another massive number. They were laying in the 50s last week against Hawaii, laying 47.5 here against UConn this afternoon, 58.5 the total in this game. Michigan, it looks like in terms of the quarterback situation, it sure seems like Jim Harbaugh's decided on J.J. McCarthy. He said he was going to go back and forth between Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy. Well, now all of a sudden he's given J.J. a second straight start. Makes you think he's got the inside track to be the starting quarterback the rest of the season. And I can't blame him for making that decision. I think there's a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more upside versatility in J.J. McCarthy. Cade McNamara is more of a drop back, pocket passer. So I think, J.J. McCarthy probably gives this team a few more options at the quarterback spot. Here's the thing with laying these kind of points. I mean, they're getting into Big Ten play after this game, Michigan. They've already, I just worry that there's some complacency setting in with this team. And let's be honest, 52-point favorites last week against Hawaii. Did they cover? No, they did not. They only won by 46. Well, if they win by 46 here, it's not going to get the job done. So I actually think UConn might be worth a look here. I mean, it's ugly. Their offense is probably not going to do much in this game today. They only got 14 points, and they got drilled by Syracuse last week, 48-14. It's a team that's having a hard time adjusting to the new quarterback, Zion Turner. Remember, they're in the first week of the season. They lost the Penn State transfer to injury against Utah State. So they've got some quarterback issues there. The defense continues to struggle. They had a good first half against Utah State, but then in the second half, Utah State got going, and obviously they gave up a 48 spot last week. So it's going to be in tough they are here against Michigan. But you're talking 47.5 and a team that didn't cover or didn't win by that margin last week. And I think Hawaii is even worse, to be honest with you, than UConn. So hold your nose. I do have a small little take on UConn here. What do you think, Connor, UConn, Michigan?
Yeah, I mean, why would you want to lay these with Michigan? Exactly. I just never do. They didn't cover like you talked about last week with Hawaii, and this is just a ton of points here. UConn's defense doesn't look very good, but I think, this all starts to shake out. How good is Utah State? You really get to learn. I mean, look at Air Force, Wyoming last night. I think as the weeks go by, you start to see how shit shakes out. So, yeah, I grabbed the points too. This is the one I played, but I'd be on UConn plus 47.5.
All right, good stuff. All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't want no part of Michigan here, especially, 3 soft opponents coming in. We didn't know how bad Hawaii was going to be. We know UConn was going to be a little bit of a horror show anyways. But anyways, the point is this. 3 soft games, like Ian said, a little maybe complacency here, getting ready for Big 12 or Big 10 action next week. It's either UConn or pass.
All right, so UConn or pass for Big Ragoo as well. And we welcome DJ Big Boss. He's back and ready to rock. DJ Big Boss, what do you think here, UConn, Michigan?
What's going on? Can y'all hear me today?
You sound great.
Yeah.
Sound excellent.
Okay. Yeah, UConn, Michigan, that's a pass for me. We still filling out UConn, and I don't know how Michigan gets Hawaii and UConn on the same schedule. Woo, wow, good for them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up, we got Purdue and Syracuse. One of the better games in the noon Eastern time slot. We got Syracuse, 1.5-point home favorite, 60 the total in this one. Like I said on Hitting the Books when we talked about this game on Monday, Connor and I like both of these teams. I'd rather not bet against either of these teams right now. Syracuse has impressed me. They drilled Louisville, beat the crap out of UConn. The Louisville game was been particularly impressive because we've seen Louisville lose a close one last night to Florida State. And then, of course, they beat up UCF the week before. So for Syracuse to beat Louisville and shut Malik Cunningham down the way they did, very impressive. And the offenses look great. Robert Anae is a slam dunk, awesome home run hire at offensive coordinator for this team. He's been outstanding. He's opened up the offense. They're running it with Tucker. Schrader's a dual threat he can run, and all of a sudden he's unlocked some ability to throw the football from Garrett Schrader. He's a different type of thrower right now. He's completing passes at a high rate, great completion percentage. All of a sudden, it's a different Syracuse offense, and Dino Babers is probably thankful right now, at least through 2 games, that he hired this guy as the offensive coordinator. It's like a different, much better, best Syracuse offense, at least in years. The O-line looks better. That's been a problem in years past, and they look like they're blocking and protecting better. It's a really good football game, but this is where Syracuse's defense is really going to get tested because I don't know if they faced a passing attack specifically. Louisville doesn't have that passing attack. Certainly UConn doesn't. They haven't faced the passing attack yet that Purdue has, and Aiden O'Connell's a very good quarterback. Doru, the running back, is good as well. They bring in the Northwestern transfer at receiver's been solid for them as well. For Purdue, they've got weapons. They've got a good O-line. I like over the total in this game more than anything. I think both offenses can move the ball. As far as the side goes, it's tough. I like both teams. Don't want to fade either team. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, we talked about it on Monday. These are 2 teams I like, and I've been impressed with Syracuse. It's been early, but those first few games I have been here. We'll see with Purdue. This will be a big win for them if they can go in and win here. I lean Syracuse, but I'm off this one. I think this is a great watch. I don't want my money on this game. Can Schrader keep being a quarterback that he is? I don't know. I'd rather have O'Connell. And I'd lean under just a little bit. In this one, I think the total might be a little bit too high here.
Yeah, because the defenses, Syracuse looks like they might have really much better defense this year. The question is now with this passing attack coming into town, will that secondary hold up? That's the one area I've got. Yeah. They've been good up front, defense up front. See how that secondary responds because it'll be tested by Purdue today. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I love both these quarterbacks early on. O'Connell, we've seen him. Schrader's a surprise factor, and we'll see how stout the Syracuse defense is in a big game like this. So I agree with Connor. I think the number kind of got away on the total, maybe crept up a little bit. We are going to see points, but we're going to see what Syracuse's defense is all about against Purdue here. So maybe Babers has got a bowl team this year for himself. I'm gonna lay low on this one.
All right, going to lay low, as Nate Dogg once said. Lay low, lay low. All right, what do you think here, DJ Big Boss?
Man, this is a great spot to lay on low right here. Early in the season right here, I don't think we have a good true picture of who Syracuse is. We don't have a good true picture who Purdue is. Right now, from what I've seen so far, I see them at about the same, and that kind of warrants the line that's on there. So I kind of definitely want to back off of this game. Definitely something you want to watch because we don't know where either one of these teams is going at this point for the season.
I got to do a little Nate. For the college football games that may be tough to bet, just forget food better late low. There you go.
That was a good
There
one.
you go. Little morning hook right there. Missed that, man. Nate Dogg. What a brilliant talent he was. All right. Next up, we've got Texas State and Baylor. Baylor 30-point home favorites, 53.5 the total. I do have a small play over on this one. I think Baylor's offense is going to get going. Kind of got stuck in mud against BYU last week. Very good BYU team. Texas State, not that same defense. I still have nightmares of Nevada putting up, in the 40s against them. That's not a good sign. I think Baylor can get a lot of points here, 30s, maybe even into the 40s. And then you just need, 10 or 14 from Texas State, which they're capable of doing. So I like this game over the total a bit. As far as the side goes, and I like Blake Shapen, too, at quarterback for Baylor. I think he'll have a big bounce-back game. Wasn't his best game, but again, all respect to BYU for making him look that way. I think he'll play a lot better here. As far as the side goes, maybe Baylor first half. I could see after the loss last week them coming out strong and having their best foot forward in the first 30 minutes of the game. So 17.5 on Baylor in the first half might be a decent way to go as well. What do you think here, Connor? Texas State, Baylor?
Yeah, maybe like bounce back. You're right. Maybe first half. I didn't get involved. I kind of like that over, though. Maybe it'll get there. Texas State scores a few junk touchdowns. And I think Baylor could easily get over 40. So I kind of like that over look a little bit better than the side here.
Yeah, for those that always that are joining the show late and they say, "Oh, have you gotten to this game yet?" We go in rotation order and by start time. So we do all the 12 noon games in rotation order, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 2:30, 3, etc. So if you see that you've joined the show and we're on a 3 p.m. game, then you already know, hey, the noon games, we've talked about them already. So if you've missed one that you wanted to hear about, rewind, go back, and you'll get it, and you'll be able to hear it for sure. All right, what do you think here, DJ, with Texas State, Baylor?
Another one, Texas State blew my money out my pocket early in the season. I'm still mad at that. But if you're feeling Baylor in this spot, I would say go ahead and lay it because Baylor, I think, they're going to be, even despite the loss to BYU, I think they're the real deal. According to what we looked at in the preview and what's turning out on the field, they're on track to definitely finish, high. So I would say this is a good point for them to, let it all down, let it all hang out, score some points and all that stuff, especially after the loss last week. So I would lean hard on Baylor if I would play anything game, and I would be ready to lay the wood.
All right, Western Kentucky, Indiana. These two teams meeting up actually for the second year in a row. Indiana 6.5-point home favorite, 61 the total in this one. This is another game that could be higher scoring. I saw some ability from Connor Bazelak, at least in the game against Illinois, which was the toughest team they've played so far, to take the top off the defense and strike in that passing game. He had a couple of big-time throws down the field, shredded the Illinois secondary, and it's a passing game that's got potential here for Indiana. Of course, it's an offense that was horrendous last year. We know that, but they beat Illinois, solid defense, 23 points. They can't make much of last week against Idaho. It's kind of a walkthrough game for them. This will be interesting, though, against Western Kentucky, because the one thing about Western Kentucky is they can score points. Now, look, Austin Peay and Hawaii are not the toughest competition the first two games of the season for Western Kentucky, but the one thing we know about this team under this coach is that they play fast, they air it out. It's the same thing, even with Kitley moving on. It's a lot of the same principles on offense, and it's an offense that can still be quite dangerous. And they had to replace Bailey Zappi, not an easy task, but I've got to be I've been impressed with Austin Reed. He's been very solid, 547 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Very good numbers for him. Now it's going to get tougher here. Indiana, Big Ten team on the road, but I don't know if I'm ready to lay 7 with Indiana. I think the dog could be in this game from start to finish, even though Western Kentucky's faced, two pretty soft opponents early. So I'm definitely leaning here right now at the moment toward Western, also the over in this game. What do you think, C-Mac?
Yeah, I don't want either here. I guess if you like Indiana, but I don't want them even laying under a touchdown in this spot. To me, I think you go right to the over. I think Indiana will be able to throw it around with Bazelak. That Western Kentucky defense, not very good. We saw it last year. It wasn't very good, but will they be able to move it easily against Indiana? I think so. I got to see a little more out of Indiana, so this was kind of a wait and see and watch this morning.
33-31 in Western Kentucky last year between these two teams. And Indiana needed a late score at the end to win. So I think it's a tight game. I really do. I think it'll be close once again. So I lean to the plus points and certainly the over and play it, in my opinion, as well at 61. What are you thinking here, boss?
Hey, believe it or not, somebody got to win this game. But it's another spot, man. It's going to be a lot of these today. We haven't seen enough of either one of these teams. You know, Western Kentucky, the competition level, we haven't seen them play at this competition level. Indiana, we seen them with a very impressive win starting off, but then, you know, we don't know what we got in the second game. So you really don't know. I mean, if you playing with this game, you're playing with fire, because the game could kind of go either way. But you know, if I had to lay it, I'm gonna lay with the home side, the bigger conference, and all those aspects, but that wouldn't be no real hard edge to really get to the window with. But I would lean Indiana minus the points, but I'm off.
All right, good stuff. Thank you, Bill, for the kind words. Yeah, you bet. I hope you all love the show. No one's doing every game on the board Saturday morning. There's a million college football content shows out there. I know no one is doing every game like this. So we definitely hope that you guys enjoy it. Georgia, South Kakalaki, interesting game, even with the point spread being what it is. Georgia 25-point road favorites, 55 the total. What a big jump in the total, 50.5 all the way to 55 in this game. If that game is going to go over the total, South Carolina is going to have to contribute offensively. Will they be able to do it against Georgia's defense? One thing about South Carolina is they played Georgia Southern, shut them down, but really struggled against Arkansas on the defensive side of the football in that game. 44 points. The run game really hurt them. Raheem Sanders, 156 rushing yards. Went wild last week against that South Carolina run defense. And, you know, Spencer Rattler, a bit of a, you know, all over the place kind of game. His completion rate was a lot better. And 376 yards, but 1 touchdown, 1 interception as well for him. Let's see how he handles this Georgia defense. We don't know how good South Carolina is yet, but we know what Georgia is. Obviously, they beat the hell out of Oregon. They had an easy one against Samford, and I think they kind of took their foot off the gas pedal. That being said, it's a lot of points. And the one thing about South Carolina is they've got good special teams, good kick coverage, good kick return units. So maybe they could pin Georgia deep, make the offense go the length of the field, maybe win the field position battle. You got to factor in these little things because Georgia's being asked to win by 4 touchdowns pretty much on the road here. You know, I do have a small play on South Carolina because I'm ultra high on this team compared to maybe some. Is it something that I'm overly confident in? No, you can't be when you play Georgia, but just feels like on the road, Georgia laying this kind of number. And keep in mind, Georgia had these moments where the number on the road just was a little bit too tall for them to reach it last year. So we'll see if that's the case here. But yeah, I just think it is a little tall, this number. So for that reason, small South Carolina bet for me. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, you kind of said it all there sometimes, Ian. I think this is too many points a little bit here. And South Carolina, their defense has to be better, but they're at home. You know you got to be up here for Georgia. Georgia should win this game, but I think, 4 touchdowns is too many. This total's interesting. You know, open at 51. It's moved up to 55.5. They have to play better at home, like you mentioned. They have to get better field position, use that special teams. So I took a little bit, too, with South Carolina here at home, plus 25.5. And I'd lean under.
Yeah, the biggest concern, obviously, you got the 8th-ranked Georgia defense, 220 per game total yards allowed, and then 386 per game allowed by South Carolina's defense. It's a huge discrepancy with the defense, and that's the biggest roadblock here for South Carolina. But it does feel like it's a lot. This isn't some bottom feeder. This isn't some, just garbage team. I think Shane Beamer's doing a nice job. He's slowly building it up. They're not a great SEC team, obviously, but we're asking 25 points on their home field. I think they could just.
Rattler's got to be good.
Number. Yeah,
he can't make mistakes too. He's got to have a clean game.
He does, or else that's going to shoot this thing all to hell for anyone on the home underdog here. All right, we got Big Ragoo back. What do you think here, Doc, with Georgia, South Carolina?
Hey, so Boston and I broke this game down early in the week, and the play I really liked here because I hit it last year. I took the team total over on South Carolina. Last year was 10, and they scored 7 in the first quarter early, and they had to sweat the whole effing game up until late. They got in the end zone. They put it over. But today I had a similar look, but the numbers kind of moved away from me a little bit because I took the same play because I figured Rattler was an upgrade at quarterback, like Conor says. He's got to be consistent. He can't make the mistakes. Like he had 3 looks in the last game with wide open TDs. He missed them all. But anyways, I do like the team total over, but I bet it at 13. Now it's moved up to I think 14.5. So that might be a little sketchy. Get 3 scores to get the cover. But I do like the plus side of things too with Carolina. I think their defense is well enough, and if we can just get I think if Carolina scores twice here, they get the cover. So that's I'm on the under. And I don't think you guys are going to be able to get that play I made earlier in the week at team total over 13.
Remember, South Carolina covered last year against Georgia. It was 40-13. They were getting 31.5 in that game, and they lost by 27. That was in Georgia as well.
I think we get the upgrade at quarterback. Better, second year with the defense. So I think they get the number done here.
Well, that's the thing. Last year, South Carolina had the combination of Luke Doty and fucking Zeb Nolan, he was actually in the coaching staff, and in an emergency situation, he had to play quarterback for them. So, yeah, I mean, Spencer Rattler, mistake-prone at times, yes, but he's better than anything they had at quarterback last year. I think that's pretty safe to say. We're not talking Virginia Tech, Ethan, because they're playing Wofford today. They're playing an FCS team, and I'll tell you this right now. I ain't laying it with Virginia Tech. I'm not laying shit with Grant Wells at the quarterback spot. Not 38 points with that guy. No way. I'd take Wofford, if anything, there, but I didn't bet that game. I'm not laying it with that many points with that offense. There's just no way I'm doing it. What do you think of your DJ Big Boss? Good one in the SEC, Georgia, South Kakalaki.
I think it's another good look at Georgia. We're still trying to see if Georgia is the real deal, if Kirby Smarts is the real deal. Did he build this team from within and all those factors of Georgia? I mean, Oregon was a decent look, but I mean, the new coach with Oregon, we don't know where Oregon's going to go. This year they're playing South Carolina. This team is more on trying to be on the rise and on the way up. Getting Spencer Rattler was a great move on the offseason, and I think that definitely you got to take the home dog plus the points right here. No way I feel comfortable enough with Georgia, even despite the blowouts that they had or whatever, playing at, more of an equal level right here with a conference foe, more of their speed where, we might get to see the real deal them. And I'm not 100% believer in Stetson Bennett. I don't think Stetson Bennett, like I said last week, he played a great game in the national championship, but his bad side is bad. So it doesn't take nothing but a team to get that out of him one day to make the game tough for Georgia. And I think even if Georgia pounds the running game, it takes a long time, and the back door is going to always be open. So I'm a heavy lean on the home dog right here.
Lean on the home dog in this one. All right, we move on to Oklahoma and Nebraska. What do we get from Nebraska today? Is it really a situation where things just, as Scott Frost is fired and now all of a sudden they're going to turn it around? Well, today's going to be a big indicator of that. 11-point road favorite, 65.5 being the total in this game. Obviously, the first game for this Nebraska team post Scott Frost era. Let's see how it goes for them. Mickey Joseph taking over now as the interim coach in this first game against Oklahoma. This is one of those games where I'd probably prefer to just sit back and watch it. Is Georgia just suddenly going to rectify all their mistakes? Suddenly going to play some defense just because Scott Frost is gone? I mean, it's really that the defense has been the most disappointing thing about this football team. People thought the defense would be improved. Northwestern's going up and down the field like a hot knife through butter against them. Georgia Southern, who is going from triple option to a air raid pass heavy up-tempo offense this year, a complete system change, which is as difficult as you could ask to go from 1 year to 2 years ago to triple option last year, this year to that air raid offense with players that were recruited for triple option now have to play this offense. And they still got shredded, Nebraska, by Georgia Southern last week. So, it's just all of a sudden Scott Frost gone. They're suddenly going to get stops on defense. I don't know about that. That's why I have to see. I think they're going to be motivated. I think the kids will be into it. They always do play in Oklahoma hard, even last year when they played. I mean, Nebraska gave them a tough game. And I do lean Nebraska, believe it or not. I'd take Nebraska before I lay it with Oklahoma on the road here. But Mickey Joseph, with all due look, this was going to be a huge coaching edge for Venables if he was going up against Frost. It still might be because Mickey Joseph's never been a head coach before. So Brent Venables doing a nice job with Oklahoma. I like Dylan Gabriel at quarterback, the UCF transfer. Defense has been good. The defense hasn't faced any good offense yet. And Casey Thompson and Nebraska's offense will challenge that a little bit. But, I think it's a situation where the Oklahoma Sooners in this spot, they could get a game from Nebraska. So I lean Nebraska. I don't feel good enough to take it, though. I want to sit back and watch a game under Nebraska's belt after the dismissal of Frost. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, Frost gone. Are they just the defense gonna change all of a sudden? In this one now it's flipped. I want, Nebraska getting a ton of points, double-digit points. I'd want over 2 touchdowns in this one. But you talked about it. Last year they played them tough. And I think, now Oklahoma goes out on the road. We talked about how early these games are the first couple weeks, a few cupcakes. So I lean Nebraska. I just couldn't get there in the end. I'd only take them here as dogs. But it's been so tough, taking Nebraska as big favorites, losing to Georgia Southern. We mentioned in that game last week. And I don't know, can they stop anybody about this total? So this is a watch for me as well. Just lean Nebraska on the point.
All right, just a lean to Nebraska. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
I think I want to see what Venables is going to do against this Nebraska defense that we're, shitting all over. But I think that number might be a little high for Nebraska. For Oklahoma. I know we've seen Georgia Southern put up a ton of points on them. Northwestern ran up and down the field on them a little bit. But I don't know. Something just tells me that Oklahoma is not going to score as many points as we think in this spot. And I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to look at the team total under Oklahoma 38.5.
All right, under 38.5, under the opponent team total against Nebraska. That's a brave bet. We'll see if the defense can show up today. What do you think, boss?
No way do you mess with this game right here. And if you do, take your feelings and go lock them in the box somewhere, because this is a classic college football situation where you have a coach get fired in the middle of the season and somebody else pick up. And it happens only 2 ways in these games. The guys group together and have a hell of a performance, or they come out, play around for a little while, and then take it, get ran through. So lock your feelings up if you're going to take a side in this one, because it really can go either way. Points, no points, whatever. There's no small in between right here. We really have to see what's going on or where we're going for the future for Nebraska. So, and that's a big program. They've been pouring a lot of money into it. A lot of people's feelings, emotions is out there, and we don't know which way the players and the team are going to take it.
Yeah, definitely. I lean Nebraska too. That would be the side for me, but I don't feel great about it. I'll tell you that. Buffalo, Coastal Carolina. We've got Coastal 13.5 point home favorites, 59.5. This opened as high as 18 or 19. It's been a huge amount of money here pouring in on the Buffalo Bulls, and both of these teams looked shaky last week, though. It was both. Even Buffalo last week in their game against Holy Cross, they lose a 6-point. Now, Holy Cross is a pretty good FCS team, so we don't want to go crazy about Buffalo losing to Holy Cross last week, 37-31, but definitely it is an eye-opener. Coastal, their win was, I think, even more bad than looked worse, I should say, than Buffalo's loss. 31-27 at home against Gardner-Webb, and they were 33-point favorites in that game. So, Coastal didn't look great. I'd lean to Buffalo too, but the problem is the numbers got in the way. I did take Buffalo plus 16 back on Wednesday, and I thought at some point the line, and I didn't even get the best of the number, and I'm like, I better get it now. And yet it's a good thing I did, because it kept going. But I never thought it would blow on right through the key number of 14 like it has. But that tells you there's a lot of people that are worried about this Coastal Carolina team. And, they did beat Army, but, that 4-point win, double-digit favorites, you guys. Troy, they won by 7 last year. Georgia State, they were 13-point favorites last year. They lost the game outright. 24.5-point favorites to Texas State. They didn't cover. South Alabama, 14.5-point favorites. They won by 6. The bowl game against Northern Illinois, they were 12-point favorites. They won by 6. They've been horrible double-digit favorites lately. Horrible, the Chanticleers. So I understand the Buffalo movement. I agree with it, but you've lost the best of it. What do you think, Con?
Yeah, you've lost a ton. You mentioned it. Coastal horrible as double-digit home favorites. Just awful. Buffalo, though, the last couple of years, horrible on the road. Just not been good. But they've been good to the over, and this defense has not looked good, whether it was Maryland or Holy Cross. I think there's points in this one. I'd lean over. And maybe this has come down enough for Coastal if you can get under 2 touchdowns. But I don't trust them. This one on the side, I'd stay off. I'd just look to the over.
Yeah, you're right about that. 2 ugly defenses. These are slow-paced, like offenses. It's the only concern I have. Neither one.
That's true.
Hustle.
They can't tackle. But yeah, they're slow.
But with the bad defenses, maybe you get some big plays because of poor tackling. And believe me, we've seen a lot of that from both defenses this year. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I agree with both you guys' looks on the slower paced teams. On the stat lines, both teams' numbers are pretty similar, actually. So, I think it's way too many points to start off with, but I think most of that value is gone. But I would have to lean Buffalo here. I think I know Grayson McCall's done nothing really too bad this year. He's over 70% on his passes. So and maybe you could say that last game, I wouldn't call it a look ahead spot, but maybe just not a game that we're really geared up to go out and cause a lot of destruction. Just kind of game manager. Make sure you don't make the mistakes. Just to get out of there with a win. So. Getting ready for this game, but way too many points in my book. I don't want to. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that defense has fallen off for Coastal. They had a pretty good defense line. They lost a lot, and boy, it's showing right now. That defense has struggled. So has Buffalo. So I could see the over, but again, you're just worried. They both play very slow pace, but still could get there. The total being at 59. And like I said, I definitely lean Buffalo because you got Grayson McCall there, still great quarterback, but a lot of the pieces around him, both sides of the football, just nowhere close to what they were the last couple of years. What do you think here, boss?
Grayson McCall, a guy that I love. I think that guy's going to end up in the NFL someday. But, even at the height of Coastal Carolina's playing and, him playing there, they still was a team that had to finish some games late. And, there were some close calls when it came down to Coastal. Now the defense is wearing in more. No way do I feel comfortable laying 2 touchdowns. I don't care who Coastal Carolina is playing. I don't feel comfortable at this point laying 2 touchdowns with them. And I'm definitely not I'm not up to speed on Buffalo and where they at going. So it's definitely a pass for me.
All right, Rutgers and Temple. We've got how about Rutgers? 18-point road favorites on the road, 42 the total in this game. I don't think Temple's very good. Obviously, that was a terrible game against Duke, 30-0 to get shut out by Duke, who's not exactly phenomenal in by their a great team by their standards. Although they played better than people thought, and a big win against Northwestern too for them, but still to get shut out by Duke, I mean that's bad. 30-14 last week against Lafayette, but don't want to make too much of that. I think they're up against it here. I think Rutgers could really win this game decisively. I don't lay points with Rutgers very often, but I did here. I laid the big number. I think their defense, look, they got shut out by Duke. Okay, Rutgers has a very solid defensive front. I don't know where the points are going to come from for Temple. Temple could barely cross midfield in that game against Duke. Keep that in mind. They barely crossed midfield. And they've got to play a physical Rutgers defense, which completely shut down Boston College second half of that win they had in the first game. I think it gets ugly for this Temple team. And certainly there's a huge difference with the defensive side of the football, both of these teams. Look, I've been impressed with what the quarterbacks have done, quite honestly. Evan Simon's been fine, with Noah Vidral out for this Rutgers team. They've run the football very effectively. They should be able to do that here against Temple with a weak run defense. So I think it gets away, and I like Rutgers here. I don't lay big points with Rutgers, but, man, if there's ever a spot and an opponent to do it, I think it's this. What do you think, Con?
Maybe you're right, but that'd be my lean, but I'm not going to lay it with Rutgers. Temple's, you talked about, been horrible. This defense hasn't had a turnover so far this year, and I doubt they do it here. I think the total, I like this under, but maybe it's a little sharp, this line. It's already come down from 44. Now we see 43s, 42.5. Because, I see a 30-7 maybe type game. So I look more to the under in this one.
All
right, looking more toward the under. Big Ragoo.
I agree with Connor. I think Temple is going to be hard pressed to put any kind of points on the board. They're just they just don't have the offense. I think the Rutgers front seven are pretty good, and it's going to be more of a tempo control game from Rutgers anyway. So I would lean towards the under in this spot.
Yeah, I think I was actually looking at the under before I even looked at Rutgers, and I'm like, nah, it's pretty low there, low 40s. But I definitely could only look at the under here. What do you think, boss?
I mean, looks like Rutgers been scoring a lot of points lately. I mean, it's not a good sample size considering who they played, but Rutgers does have the more quality of the opponents. Temple looks like they're struggling a little bit. They would be considered upside down at this point in the season. They're averaging 15 points a game, allowing 22 points a game. No way do you want to have your money right there. So lay it with Rutgers. This might be one of the easiest spots on the board today. Laying it right here with Rutgers, and the number tell you that because the number is kind of luring you in between 3 touchdowns and over 2 touchdowns. So they just try to build a little value for some people to come in on Temple, but this may be a clear blowout if Rutgers is the real team that they look like so far.
Yeah, I think they've got the chance to flex muscles here and win by 3 touchdowns or more. How about Ohio, Iowa State now? We've got Iowa State 19-point home favorites in this one, 48.5 being the total in this game. Iowa State's offense is not an offense like that. Yeah, let's lay 19 with this group this year. I'm not doing that. I think it's still an offense that's definitely a work in progress. Defense is pretty solid, but you're asking an offense that's been, in all honesty, fairly limited so far to win games. I'm not sure. They only scored 10 points. Good Iowa defense, but still only 10 points in that game. They actually struggled to move the ball against Southeast Missouri State as well. A lot of the yards came because of short fields, defensive support as well from Iowa State. Ohio had the upset against Florida Atlantic, ended up losing 46-10 last week to Penn State on the road. Curtis Rourke struggled 14 of 30, 119 yards in that game. That being said, I have a small bet on Ohio here on the Bobcats. I just don't like this offense right now for Iowa State, and I'm always interested in betting against a weaker offense laying this kind of number, especially with Big 12 play coming up. A lot of these teams that are laying these big points, the Power 5 teams against not a group of 5 teams, be careful. They've got the conference season starting next week, and maybe they're thinking, let's pace ourselves. Let's just get the game over with. Let's win the game. Margin doesn't matter. Let's move on to next week. And I talked about that with Michigan, talked about that with a lot of teams coming up as well. May see that with Iowa State as well. What do you think here? CMAC, Ohio, Iowa State.
Yeah, maybe Ohio hangs around here early. I'd look at them first half. It seems like every time they play a bigger team, they get kind of blown out, especially in the second half. So I think if you like Ohio, look to them early in this one. And the total, nothing here, because I think it's a little low. It could creep over. As much as I'd lean under, I think it's pretty sharp here at 49.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I totally agree with Ian. I love that look the first half, Ohio. I think they've got enough offense to kind of keep them around, especially in the first half. And, like you said, Iowa State's offense is not going to put it, they're not in blowout mode. They're not going to blow anybody off. Even when they had a better quarterback, even a little bit better offense, they always played tight games in the mid-20s. So I don't see them getting away, especially, 3 scores. Give me Ohio first half.
Yeah, only 79th offense total yards so far, Iowa State. Like I say, they're having problems moving the ball. Hunter Deckers ain't Brock Purdy, and even last year, Brock Purdy wasn't that great, and yet he was still better than Hunter Deckers so far. What do you think here, boss?
Still small sample size on this Iowa State team. I like Ohio State after I previewed them this year, and they kind of moving in the right direction. Beating Iowa was definitely a plus. The defense is solid. The defense can hold it down, and I think that that'll probably be their strength. And we're on week 3 right here. We're talking about improvement, and this is a chance playing a little less quality of a team per se that could give them a chance to run it up a little bit and feel a lot better, or they can continue to struggle because we don't know exactly where Iowa State's going to be going for the season. So I'm a little Iowa State biased. So therefore I have to stay off the game because I would lay it with Iowa State just because I feel like they're going to have the better season. But all they really need to do is win. I got to cover the spread. So I'm going to just leave that one alone.
All right, Old Dominion, Virginia. Next up, we've got Virginia here, 8.5-point home favorites in this game. Total 53. money's come in on Old Dominion, and some of it's mine. I like Old Dominion getting points this year. This is going to be a team that's going to make money getting points. They already showed it against Virginia Tech. They beat the Hokies outright in the first week of the season. Last week, obviously, they were catching points there against East Carolina. They fell short, 39-21, but not a terrible game. East Carolina is a pretty solid team this year, and I think after the win against Virginia Tech, they were a little bit, they celebrated that one a little bit. But this is a game that they're going to be as equally amped up to play as that Virginia Tech team, another in-state team, and a Virginia team that, I'll be honest, through 2 games, I've not been impressed here. Tony Elliott's got a tough job ahead of him, first year as head coach. They didn't look impressive against Richmond. Illinois, what happened to the offense? My goodness, 3 points. They lose 24-3 to the Illinois last week. Illinois has got a solid defense, but I'll tell you what, for that passing game and Brennan Armstrong to get shut down like that, maybe they miss Robert Anae, the offensive coordinator who's now in Syracuse, was with Virginia last year, because now this offense kind of sucks without Robert Anae, and look what Robert Anae's done for the Syracuse offense in 2 games. So that might be a big deal that they lost him as their offensive coordinator, because it's not been the same offense so far. Either way, Old Dominion can play good enough defense, I think, here, keep this game close. I mean, they bottled up Virginia Tech in the first week of the season, and when you look at the stats, Old Dominion's defense is better against the pass. And guess what? Virginia is a team that likes to throw the football a lot with Armstrong. So I think it's a close game. Wouldn't surprise me if the Monarchs hang around again against a big brother in-state team. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, I think they play up for this. I really wanted the doubles in this game, though. I wanted over 10 in this spot. You're still getting over the touchdown at 8. You mentioned it, Virginia got their ass whipped by Illinois, and they're supposed to be throwing it, just not the same offense. Obviously, Armstrong, Virginia probably wins this game. But, yeah, I lean to Old Dominion. I just wanted more in this one.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I agree. I would like the doubles also. It can get away a turnover or two, because both these defenses, I think, are better than the offenses. So I actually lean towards the under also in this spot here. I think the game stays under 50 points. So, I mean, I think what's the current total, like 53, 52, 52 and a half?
53.
53, yeah. So, I mean, I like that under look. I think both teams are better on the offense, on the defensive side for sure. And OD struggles on third down immensely. They've got like 3 out of 24 tries, and
that's not good.
Yeah, so Virginia, they got to show me something too. So I think they can hang around. So I lean towards the under. I'm not going to get to the window with it.
All right, boss.
This one is a better special right here, because I think that we getting a lot of value on Virginia that is not deserved. Like, Virginia's deep offense is really bad. They're 0-2 ATS. This is a first-year coach versus a second-year coach, whereas Old Dominion, my guy Ricky over there, he's doing great, to tell you the truth. This team is coming together, really well. This is an in-state rival team, always a good point to take the points at any rate. Last time these 2 teams met up was in 19. OD was winning the first half 17-0, and they happened to come back the second half. So OD is not scared of this team at all. They're coming to play ball today. They've been playing ball up to this point, and you want to give me that many points? It's a better special. They're looking for the people that are high on Virginia, thinking that they're who they were a few years ago or something like that, and they're looking at people that some people don't even know who Old Dominion is. So they're counting for people to come in on that, and they're just giving it up to guys like us, putting that points in our pocket, and we're gonna take them and lock that in right there.
All right, South Alabama and UCLA. Interesting. Sun Belt versus Pac-12. UCLA 16-point home favorites, 59 the total. They've been betting UCLA up now from 13.5 to 16, to the point where I'm interested in that dog, South Alabama. Sun Belt's been stepping up in these games against Power 5 teams. Look at Virginia Tech. We just talked about it. Lost Old Dominion, Sun Belt team. Marshall beats Notre Dame last week, Sun Belt team. Both of those teams used to be in Conference USA, but they're in Sun Belt now. App State against A&M last week, another Sun Belt upset. It's been one after another this year. Georgia Southern last week, Sun Belt team against Nebraska, upset. These Sun Belt teams have been stepping up this year, and I cashed a ticket with South Alabama last week against Central Michigan. I did not think it was going to be that easy because Central Michigan's not a bad team, and South Alabama rolls them 38-24. And if not for them easing off the gas pedal, it could have been worse. I mean, that's when a lot of Central Michigan's points came, when the game was already a blowout and out of hand. I've been impressed with South Alabama's offense and the transfer from Toledo, Carter Bradley. He's been great. Absolutely terrific, in control of that Alabama offense. That he's been totally in command of that offense. And UCLA, defensively here, they're going to get tested. The guy's been throwing the ball well. Their run game's been good, and Kane Womack's a defensive-minded coach, and their defense is supposed to be better this year. And look, UCLA's got Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's got Zach Charbonnet. We know they've got weapons on that side of the football, no question about that. But I'm telling you what, this could be a dog that hangs around. And again, like with so many teams, UCLA starts conference season next week as well. So beware of South Alabama. I think this is a talented team, and I think they can hang to 2 touchdowns, within 2 touchdowns here. So I like the dog a little bit. I'd lean to the over as well because UCLA is more of a team that can get into those type of shootouts. I'm still not sold on the Bruin defense. South Alabama can score. This is definitely, to me, a much improved Jaguar offense. So I like points in this game over the total, and I like the dog a bit. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I like the dog here as well, catching the 16. It's just not the easiest spot, going to the Rose Bowl. But the one thing is UCLA will score. And, I think this game, I lean to the over. It's just I'm not impressed with their defense. And I think South Alabama will score. So, yeah, I think it's too many. I like the 16 with South Alabama. And like I talked about, I lean to the over.
And another thing I factored into, like in the South Alabama side here, is UCLA played Bowling Green, first game of the year, same time. Like it was 2 p.m. Eastern. It was 11 a.m. Pacific in California on the West Coast. It was a Halloween costume party at the Rose Bowl. Everybody came dressed as empty seats. That's what it was. I mean, nobody was there.
Empty.
It was a horrible crowd for that first UCLA game at this time, 11 a.m. when they played Bowling Green a few weeks ago. That's what you might see here. I mean, South Alabama, 11 a.m. start time. You're not going to get a building packed for a game like this. So you got to downgrade the home field edge for UCLA in a game like this. You're just not going to see much of it. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, good point. But, I mean, with the number as it is, maybe a point or two possibly. But South Alabama is nice. Finally got a good Jaguar team that's winning football games. But my only concern with the South Alabama, hopefully they got them on curfew out in L.A. because them boys might be out on the town partying a little bit, sneaking out at night. But hopefully not. But they're up to the task.
That's true.
And the question here is UCLA's defense versus the Jags offense, which that's going to be the whole key to the game. Them getting to the number, obviously, but I would lean towards the Jags in this spot without question.
All right, boss.
I tossed and turned about this game right here. And that game against Bowling Green, first, it was against Bowling Green, and 2, it was hot as heck out here. And we had the fires and the ash and all that in the air. No way did you want to be in the Rose Bowl on that Saturday. But guess what? It cooled down a lot here in LA. So we're going to get a nice little 80-degree.
It'll be better crowd. Yeah. How big are those?
Beautiful. I don't know. I don't know if people really want to come out and see South Alabama. I think that I like UCLA laying the points right here because this is a chance for Chip to show that he means business. I mean, you talk about a team who last year, they through the transfer portal, they landed some big ones from Alabama, from a lot of places. Quite a few of them got injured last year as well, and they're coming back this year. So I think they have way better quality athletes on the UCLA side. I think Chip Kelly should have a chip on his shoulder and try to get a big win today at home, despite how many people is in the crowd. But the only thing that I would lean on South Alabama is they are a quality team, and you got to watch those Alabama schools. They play football tough in Alabama. I mean, all the way from Auburn, anything football, Alabama plays at a high level. So I think maybe those kids coming out here to Los Angeles could get a little out of control, but I don't know. They may stay locked indoors after some of the drama that we had going on recently right here with some rap stars getting killed and stuff like that. So I don't know. They should keep them inside. Don't let them outside. But that's not a big difference. You know, the game is still played on the field. It's going to be a beautiful day to play football. I lean to the over in this one too. I think they do get to the end zone and put some points on. They got to have some excitement for the cheers that are there. So I haven't got to the window yet. I lean UCLA in the over.
Yeah, they've outgained their opponents significantly the first two games. South Alabama. We'll see if they can maintain that, and they've been just destroying the point spread as well. 2-0 ATS start for South Alabama. Both point spread covers were no sweat. They're easy as it gets. So they look undervalued. We'll see if that undervalued to the number continues today for South Alabama. All right, boss, we're going to go ahead.
I got one more on that. I think that this game is a prime game to play live. See how it goes and see what you really get out there, and that's when you hammer it. Leave the pregame bets alone in that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's not always a bad idea. Wait to see how the games unfold, see what the game flow looks like, then go from there. Cal and Notre Dame. Here we go. Notre Dame, do they have a bounce back in them after last week? 12.5-point home favorites, 41 the total. So I don't trust Cal, flat out. You know, it's an early start, 11:30 a.m. Pacific. They're going to, Midwest here, South Bend for an early game, and I don't like that offense. You know, it hasn't clicked here so far with Jack Plummer. They had a great start against UNLV. They did nothing in the second half. UNLV shut them down. It's why UNLV got the winner for me last week with the best bet here on the Pub Hub. UNLV plus 13. Go fight cover. They did just that against Cal. I don't like their offense, Cal. Not what I've seen so far from them. But do I want to lay it with Notre Dame? No. So I'm off the game. I lean under. I think the under is probably a good look, but I'd be careful about taking Cal here just because Notre Dame lost to Marshall. I think this is a game where it's a pissed off team. Drew Pine can't be any worse than Tyler Buckner. And obviously Drew Pine is going to be the quarterback now moving forward. It wouldn't surprise me if Notre Dame wins by 2 touchdowns or more. So I actually lean favorite, but I'm staying off the game. We'll start this one with Boss. He's the Notre Dame guy. What do you think here against Cal?
I'm absolutely off the side right here. I mean, Notre Dame, their numbers are looking bad. They average 15 points per game. They're giving up 23 points a game. Cal, despite, their lame offense and what they do over there, they do like to play defense. They're scoring 27 points a game and only allowing 13.5 points a game. Going to be a lot of defense in this one at Notre Dame. I really lean the under, but the line is really, really low with the 41. But it may be just as because Notre Dame offense is shot. I mean, we don't have a quarterback that can see over the line in Butner or Payne. So we can't even see over the line. I mean, literally last weekend, he threw a ball that bounced off the back of the lineman's jersey. Or whatever. That's just ridiculous. I mean, we have Tommy Rees is running the offense. And he's running it from his perspective. He's a tall guy. He can step up in the pocket, and when in his day, he can do those things. The guys that we have here can't do that. I think it's a pure shame that we did not go in the transfer portal and try to get some type of quarterback that could hold this team. We already made a bad decision last year getting Cohen from Wisconsin with his lane passing. It's just such cancerous on the offensive side and making it seem like there's nothing there. We can't run the ball. We have a decent sized line. They were supposed to be a top quality line, but we can't run the ball. We don't have the running backs. We don't got a big guy. We got a bunch of little guys out there. I mean, they're really recruited players for Brian Kelly's type offense, and we really need to move to something different because we don't have him there to plug in where we need to plug in or whatever. It just looks weird to me. I can't trust Notre Dame as far as I can throw him right now. I would even go as far as taking Cal in this one too. But I'm really – I mean, it could be because I'm a fan. I mean, you can only beat a dog down so far, you know what I'm saying, before you just need to stop. But, I mean, it's a broken record that they playing right here. I mean, the coach is 0-3 now, if you consider the bowl game as well. Like, he's never won. He's never did nothing on offense. He got a big target in Myers at tight end. They can't utilize that. There's guys who can run up and down the field on the outside and catch deep balls. I mean, that's how they were recruited. He can't do that. So it's just a total chaos on offense. Is carrying over to the defense because they're on the field so long. Everybody likes the way the defense play, but they ain't did nothing. The numbers are horrible. They're giving up plenty of yards on the run and in the pass. So I just can't. Maybe the defense can play a little better and keep the game, under or whatever. But I couldn't really lay it on Notre Dame right now. As a matter of fact, I would have to lean Cal, and I probably would sprinkle something on the money line. We're looking at a bad Notre Dame team.
There you go. Unfiltered, unbiased opinions for Notre Dame from a fan of Notre Dame, that being DJ Big Boss, saying don't lay it with Notre Dame until we see something better. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
I think we want to see a low-scoring game. I think Cal – I'm going to take Cal on the team total over 15.5. I think they'll score. They'll get 17 to 20 points in this spot, and the game will maybe go close to being over. Either way, it's going to be close to the total. So the odds makers are telling you that. So I like the Cal team total over 16.5.
All right, C-Mac.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with this one. Totals come down. Obviously, I'd lean under in a Cal game. Cal's been good on the road, though, the last few years as a double-digit dog. Yeah. Can you trust Plummer? Maybe. Man, Notre Dame's just in shambles. I mean, I just got to watch this team like Boss said it all. They don't have a quarterback. They have an offensive line. They can't run it. Their defense probably is their only thing going right now. They should shut down this Cal team. But, yeah, I'm off here. Oh, nothing.
All right. Next game here on the slate here. And hit the like button. We appreciate it. We still got an hour left. North Texas, UNLV. UNLV 2.5-point home favorites, 62.5 the total in this one. I don't like them as much this week, but I'm on them again. UNLV, less than a field goal at home. I'm not a big Austin Aune fan. You know that. I still have questions about how good North Texas's defense is. We saw them got ripped by SMU. And I kind of like what I'm seeing from Brumfeld here at UNLV, the quarterback. Solid, decent, good enough. They're at home here, short number. They're definitely improving this UNLV football team. Competitive loss, 6-point loss to Cal on the road. They never used to hang in games like that. So there's definitely some improvement here. Yeah, it's UNLV favored. I get it, G. Martinez. It's a good point. Can they handle that kind of a role? I'm just not. I wasn't high on North Texas coming into the season, and I'm still not. So, and look, I cashed a ticket with UNLV last week. I think we're seeing improvements. So I'll lay it here. Less than a field goal. I wouldn't lay more than a field goal, but less than a field goal, I'll lay it with UNLV here. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, UNLV. I love what they're doing there here. I think Brumfield will move the ball. But yeah, UNLV laying points. No way. I think this is wrong. Just even at 2.5, it was 3. It's got back. There's a lot of money on UNLV, but I think the sharp money here is North Texas. Every time UNLV has had a chance like this, they've lost. And North Texas money line plus 120 and lean over.
All right, North Texas and lean over. What do you think here, Doc? You're muted.
How's that? Okay.
There you go.
I'd say more. I agree with Connor in this spot. UNLV is as a chalk. They're definitely turning the corner, but it's too early for me to get involved. I got to see about 2 or 3 games of covering for them to kind of get there, as a favorite per se. But you probably won't see too many of those spots. But sharper money on North Texas. Under a field goal, you might be safe, but it's nothing I want a part of.
All right, Boss.
Man, I wish Notre Dame had a guy like Brumfield, a real athlete out there, kind of carries the teams on his shoulder at sometimes. I really like that guy right there. I don't know. This could be the switcheroo right here. I don't know about this game right here. North Texas in their opener to UTEP looked good enough to beat UNLV, but UNLV played these last 2 games with a lot of poise and pride, and they're due for a win. And I think this is going to be a big weekend for Allegiant Stadium. Period, though, on a conspiracy level, because they're gonna rake them Raiders right into a good season, and it starts at home, and they're gonna open on Saturday with UNLV, who hasn't had a solid win. I mean, they won the first game of the season, but they haven't had a solid win against a solid opponent. This North Texas is right about their speed that they can actually win, and that's why we get the 2. So if you bet last week like Babano and made that money with UNLV, it's only right to put a little bit of it back up and back UNLV in this home game right here. That they remember, UNLV is deaded inside of Allegiant Stadium just like the Raiders are. They got their own facilities in there and everything. They're really trying to get this team on the right path to justify the money and the teams and all that good stuff. So on a conspiracy theorist level, I definitely want to take UNLV. But I don't know if I'll get all the way to the window with it because North Texas, it's a Texas school. They play ball in Texas as well, and they're going to give them a shot for their money. And if UNLV keeps making those mistakes that they make, then they won't come away with the victory again. And I can see Marcus having some crazy team that just makes it to the edge and can't win the game. So I'm off of it.
All right, Tulane, Kansas State. We've got Kansas State 14-point home favorites, 49. I grabbed Tulane 16 a few days ago. I still like it at 14, actually. I like Tulane. I think Tulane's going to be one of the most improved teams this year. They lost a lot of close games a year ago. They had a lot of injuries a year ago. That's why the record was so bad. This is a better team than that, though. Michael Pratt is back. The defense is improved. And Kansas State, look, I worry about the spot for Kansas State. They crushed Missouri, SEC team. Clearly, they were up and played their best for that game. This is different now. They got Tulane coming in. They play Oklahoma next week. They haven't covered 2 years in a row the week prior to playing Oklahoma, Kansas State. That worries me. It contained Deuce Vaughn. Obviously, Missouri couldn't do that. But I think Tulane's got an improved run defense this year. Keep them in the pocket. This is a tricky spot, sandwich type of spot for Kansas State. Tulane's a team as an underdog this year. I think you're going to be able to cash some tickets with them. They've been very impressive. Now, this will be a tougher opponent, but I think Tulane's the right side here. I like them to hang within 2 touchdowns here. And Kansas State with Oklahoma on deck. What do you think here, Big Ragoo?
I like K-State. I know Tulane's nice, but and they're improved, and they play Alcorn State, UMass. They kind of had their way with them. I think K-State, it's funny how these coaches, their first game, they kind of go back to their roots. They play those teams where they came from. They play South Dakota, and then they beat up Missouri pretty good. So their defense is rolling, and their offense is rolling. So I normally don't lay this kind of wood with, teams early out like this, but 14 points, I'm going to be contrarian here. I think K-State's got way more to offer here on both sides of the ball. So I think
they look good.
I think they get the job done. I'm going to roll with K-State. It's going to be one of my first major bets of the day.
We have not seen Adrian Martinez have to throw the ball a lot. Please, Tulane, put me in a spot where they force that guy to throw the ball. Then the mistakes are going to come. Then it's game on, possibly for Tulane. Will it get to that point? Contain Vaughn. It's got to be the focus if you're Willie Fritz and Tulane. What do you think here, boss?
I haven't had a good look on either one of these teams right here. Folks at home on this weekend, don't bet games on teams that you haven't seen play or know what the real deal is. So it's not a time of the season where we can look at numbers and make an educated decision. So at this time, I haven't seen neither one of these teams play. I don't know what they have totally to offer on the field, so I'm off.
New Mexico State, Wisconsin. We've got Wisconsin 37-point home favorites, 46 the total. I can't take New Mexico State because I don't know if they're going to score in this game. But I'm not laying 37 with Wisconsin's offense either with what I've seen. Remember, they're off the upset against Washington State at home last week. Cougars go in there and beat them. The under. I think that's the obvious bet in this game. Under the total, 46. I think that's probably the best way to bet this game for sure. Points at a premium, especially for New Mexico State. I could see this being 31-3. Something like that. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
This is a stat builder game for Wisconsin on the defense. Like you said, I don't want no part of the 37.5, and New Mexico will be lucky if they get a field goal. So it's a pass for me both ways.
All right, boss.
This game shouldn't even be on the card. We don't know what is going on right here with the New Mexico team we've been seeing, and who could ever imagine that Wisconsin could put up 37 points and cover with their offense. So I'm off.
All right, we go on to Penn State, Auburn. This is one of the better games at the 3:30 p.m. Eastern slot. We've got Penn State 2.5-point road favorites, 47.5 the total. I lean Penn State, but man, I've still got the heebie-jeebies about this team laying points on the road. But I saw Auburn's offensive line as someone that had San Jose State last week plus the points. And the reason I took the points is because I didn't trust Auburn's offense to win by margin. That offensive line couldn't move the ball, or it couldn't get push from the offensive line at times against San Jose State. That is concerning for me. They couldn't get the run game with Bigsby going against San Jose State. Now it's going to be a lot tougher against Penn State. So I lean Penn State. I actually think they're the better of these two teams. I'm not a big Penn State, and I'm certainly not a James Franklin fan club guy. That is for damn sure. But I would lean Penn State. I'm not betting the game, though, because I just still, at the end of the day, Penn State laying points on the road, there's got to be better bets to make than that, even though I do think they might be the better team. Big Ragoo, what do you think? You're a good one. Penn State, Auburn.
Yeah, one of the better games of the day for sure, matchup-wise. So Penn State, we're not favorites of Franklin on the road. We talked about that. You mentioned that. But I think if they can go out and beat Auburn, not handily, but if they can play a solid football game and Clifford could execute and make plays, I think, we got to start looking at Penn State as small road favorites again. But then here's one of those spots. But I like a sneaky over here, believe it or not, as much as Auburn has had struggles, to kind of move the ball. Maybe Finley could, get some plays behind the line of scrimmage a bit and rely on that strong run game and maybe get a shot or two downfield. So I like the sneaky over here. I know it's a lot of people like the under, but I'm on the over.
Yeah, TJ Finley being the answer to Bo Nix. So far, the answer is no. He's been very mediocre so far for Auburn. We'll see how he plays today. What do you think, Conor Mac, Auburn, Penn State?
Yeah, this is a game I'm just not going to get involved with, I think. I don't trust Penn State, laying this short number on the road. To me, this is Auburn or pass.
All right, boss.
I feel in this one at some point you gotta get rid of the old stereotypes and how we did things before. Yes, Penn State's not the best team on the road, but I think we have a different Penn State team this year. I think this team is tough. This is the last opportunity for a Big Ten team to take down the SEC team, and Auburn is 12-11 versus Big Ten. Penn State is 6-6 versus the SEC. So nobody's scared of nobody in this game. And then the last time these two met up, Penn State won 28-20. So there's a lot of upside to Penn State in this game. I think the number set kind of funny. As soon as I seen it, it's one of those games that kind of jumped off the board. I thought that number should have been -7 for Penn State, even on the road. And, they got a lot of drama going on in upstairs at Auburn. They're trying to sweep it under the rug real good, but we all should be knowing that Harsin might not be here next year. He could even get fired during the season with all the type of stuff that they got going on at Auburn. But it's nice to see that they're not, throwing that out there in the media and everybody doesn't know. You got to kind of dig to get it. So they're trying to cover up some things. This is actually a tougher matchup than they would think. They're playing a really quality. This is like playing Ohio State or any of the best Big Ten teams right here, So I think Penn State at this point is the way better team. Auburn's gonna slowly walk their way out of this. I don't even if Harsin proves by winning that he's doing a great job over there, I still think they may not keep him. I mean, when you have staff and players that are leaving because of how you treated them or what you've done and stuff like that, those are major issues. I don't think he's a good fit there. He's gonna get sent back to the Mountain West or somewhere else a little smaller that he can control the game.
Yeah, I'm not convinced in the least that Auburn's going in the right direction under Brian Harsin. That's for damn sure. All right, Vanderbilt, Northern Illinois. We've got Northern Illinois 2.5-point home favorites, 59 the total in this game. I like the over here. I'm just going to stick to that because I think Northern Illinois actually for the first time in years got a better offense than a defense. I mean, the defense has not been good. I mean, they got shredded by Tulsa. They gave up 27 points to Eastern Illinois. I mean, that's not a good defensive showing from Northern Illinois so far, but I could say the same damn thing about Vanderbilt. They shut down Hawaii, but since then they gave up 31 to Elon, which is alarming, and 45 to a returning Sam Hartman and Wake Forest last week. So I just think you get both teams better offensively than defensively. Total's reasonable. Neither plays fast, but you got big plays that both teams have been giving up on defense this year. So I think the over is good here with Vandy and Northern Illinois. As far as the side goes, lean Northern Illinois. They are off a bye week, Northern Illinois, and I think there's a reason the MAC team is favored over the SEC team here. The worst, obviously, SEC team by far, Vanderbilt. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
I'm with you on the total. This came down a little bit, but now that it's at 58.5, I don't think either team plays much defense. And I'd look to Vandy. I know Northern Illinois playing all right football, but there's no way I can back them even as a short home favorite. I like the Vandy and the money line and the over.
Yeah, Rocky Lombardi, horrible at Michigan State, but I got to give him credit. He's played well here for Thomas Hammock. here at Northern Illinois. He was solid last year. He's off to a good start this year at the quarterback spot for them. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
I got 3 words. Let's go Conor and let's go Vandy. You remember when we opened up the season, I said Vandy's got a team total win of 2.5, and there's 3 spots that they could possibly win. And if they don't do it here, they might have trouble the rest of the way. So I'm not getting to the window with Vandy today, but I'm getting to the window with Vandy after the game because I'm going to cash that +1, whatever the number was, +120 on the 3-win total for Vandy. So let's go Vandy.
Let's go Vandy. All right, boss.
Hey, I'm on the Vandy train too, and I like to take them on the money line right here. I haven't got to the window with it yet, but it's one that I've really been contemplating. I've really been focusing in on what people think about this matchup. But the quarterback, Mike Wright, he's very impressive. 6 touchdowns in the air, 4 touchdowns on his feet, and only 1 interception. But he only has a QBR of 43.7. And that could be because of the beatdown that they took in Wake Forest. But this is a different quality team. Maybe this guy can manipulate the small schools and maybe play at an SEC rate, at the bottom barrel when he plays conference foes. So I think in this spot right here is a good spot for Vanderbilt, like Big Ragoo said. And I think if you're going to take him, you might as well take a money line because it's not coming down to a field goal. Either Vandy's going to surprise us and win outright by a nice margin, or they're going to struggle and not cover and lose.
All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, it is, here we go, Colorado, Minnesota. Minnesota, 27.5-point home favorites, 47. All right, Minnesota, if Air Force's run game did what they did against Colorado and they won the way they did against Colorado last week by 31, 41-10, why can't Minnesota? Minnesota's an even better run game, an even, I think, stronger team, especially after what we saw from Air Force last night. And they're a run-first offense. Colorado couldn't stop the run last week. I think this gets real ugly again for this horrible, sad, pathetic Colorado team. I'm laying the wood. 27.5, it's below the key number. Give me the Gophers to run it up today. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, it's Minnesota or pass here. I'm going to look. I don't know. Maybe I want to go first half, first quarter. I think you lay it here as well.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I think it's a perfect double-up spot on Minnesota. Easy and over all day long. So give me Minnesota first half, first full game, and all day.
Very experienced offense too. Let's keep that in mind. They can, this is an offense I think that's capable of running scores up this year compared to previous years for PJ Fleck. They've got Tanner Morgan, who's been there forever. What a great story it is to see Mohamed Ibrahim back at the running back spot. This guy's gone through so much. Wondered if he'd ever play again. He's back and he's looking great. I mean, he looks like the old Mohamed Ibrahim at running back for Minnesota. So great story there to see him back on the field. What do you think here, boss?
It would be Minnesota or nothing. I don't see this Colorado team. I mean, they had beginning of the season, they had some little hope, but the hope is getting short and dry right now. And Minnesota, they're gonna stick it to you every chance that they get. So I'm off the game, but if I had to do it, I lay the points right here.
Yeah, it's
Colorado might not score.
Yeah.
Look at their team total under. I mean, Minnesota could shut them out here too.
Yeah, that's right. No doubt. Colorado had a good first quarter against TCU, and they've pretty much done nothing since then. All right, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech. Ole Miss, 17-point road favorite, 63 the total. I'm going to lay it here with Ole Miss. I mean, it's anti-Georgia Tech for me coming into the season. I cashed with Clemson against them. I'm looking to fade this team at every opportunity. And, Ole Miss kind of going back and forth with Altmaier and Jackson Dart, the USC transfer, as their quarterbacks. But either one can play, and either one can probably do damage here against this bad Georgia Tech defense. And, it's just a Georgia Tech team that, like I said, I think they're going to have a bad year. I think Jeff Collins is probably going to be out after this year. So we're going to lay it here with the Rebels. What do you think, Conor Mac?
I'm not going to lay it here, but I think I'm going to pass. I think Ole Miss might win, but I'd be leery here now that it's over 17 and a half. I know Georgia Tech has problems, and Sims, man, the turnovers can that's why I can't take him here. So I'm off.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, we're going to see Lane playing the quarterback game today. But either way, they're going to be inept against Georgia Tech's going to be inept against this Ole Miss offense, whatever Lane throws at them. So it's going to be a long day for Georgia Tech.
All right, boss.
Hey, if you've been on the lane train, stay on the lane train right here, because he's always trying to run it up, but at the same time, he always leaves the back door open late in the games. But I don't know. This could be one of his games where he really gets out on top of this team right here. So I would take Ole Miss and lay the points or leave it alone.
All right, BYU, Oregon, a good one here, also at 3:30. Oregon, 3.5-point home favorites, 57 the total. I'm still on BYU here, plus 3.5. And even though I don't love the spot for BYU off a big, momentous home overtime win against Baylor, now you got to go on the road, face Oregon. It's a tough spot for BYU, but I'm convinced BYU is better than Oregon just because I'll trust Jaron Hall over Bo Nix. Seriously, from a quarterback spot, I will. Now, the speed of Oregon always worries you, but BYU's got the trench advantage. They're really good, again, offensive line, defensive line. I'm going to dare Oregon and Bo Nix not to make mistakes. And again, the only time we've seen Bo in a big game here with Oregon, he got absolutely embarrassed and annihilated by Georgia. Now, granted, it's Georgia, but BYU is a solid team. The spot's the only concern, that they're off the big win against Baylor. But I've got BYU as equal, if not better than Oregon. And if I feel that way, I got to take 3.5 here with the Cougars. I like the over as well. I think we'll see points. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, we talked about this on Monday. I think it's just the spot because you're right. I want Hall. Like quarterback wise, it's Hall. There's no way I want Bo Nix. I can't bet. Can't put my money on this guy. So everyone that takes Oregon here, good luck. So I'm just gonna stay off and watch this one.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I so wanted to get to the window at BYU. The receiver injuries have me concerned. I mean, I love BYU. I think BYU, if they win this game, and they got 2 more games down the road on the schedule that they can possibly win. I mean, they're going to play 6, quality FBS schools. We're talking Cincinnati type team right here, guys. If they could, we're talking playoff team if they win out. So that's that kind of talent that BYU has. But I hope I'm wrong about the injuries. I'm not going to get to the window, but I'll be cheering you on, Ian. I hope you cash that ticket, my friend.
Yeah, hopefully it's another big game for Chase Roberts because he was terrific, and they'll need him today because I believe Gunnar Romney and still a couple of those other receivers out for BYU. What do you think here, boss?
I'm definitely on BYU right here. I think that BYU, if any team could come off of, a late, overtime victory and pick it up and go, on the road and play well, it's going to be BYU. They're not going that far to go to Oregon anyway, but it's going to be BYU. They don't mind playing or jumping or getting in the smoke at no point. They went and played a Florida team. They went and played a Big 12 team. Now they're playing a top Pac-12 team. Is not going to make a difference to them. I've been struggling with this bet all week, and it's coming a little more clear on the show right here. I really like BYU in the spot. This may even be a spot where the wrong team is favored. We don't know what Dan Lanning really got going on, him and Bo Nix. They haven't really played nobody. When they did play Georgia, they got thumped on ridiculously. You coming off of getting your feelings hurt and taking it out on somebody else doesn't mean nothing about how well you'll play against top competition. I think BYU is a quality top competition team. They're grown men out there. And this Oregon team, unless they just really, really high flying, they're not going to be able to handle it, late in the game versus this BYU team like Baylor did. Baylor's a tough team. We're going to see today. Baylor's going to show you that, they're a tough team as well. So BYU's been paying the quality competition. They prepare for this type of stuff. I like BYU plus the points and a little sprinkle on the money line. This might be, if you want to call it an upset of the day, put this on upset alert. This might be the upset of the day.
Liking BYU. All right. Our Georgia Southern UAB, Troy App State. We're going to do both of these at the same time because they're both similar type of handicap in this game. UAB 12-point home favorites, 59 the total. App State 14-point favorites over Troy, 52 the total. I'm on the dog in both games. Or actually, I'm on UAB, I should say, laying the points. I'm fading Georgia Southern off the big win. It's a huge win against Nebraska. I think UAB's better than they showed last week. I think this is a fall flat type of spot for Georgia Southern going on the road the second straight week against the Blazers. I like UAB laying the points. I like the over there, but man, that over's gone up to 59 because Georgia Southern's playing much faster, throwing the ball a lot more, totally different style of offense, and they're going over the total this year as a result. So I like the over. I like UAB laying the points there. And I'm on Troy, plus 14 against App State. App State, a huge win against A&M, coming home. I still don't trust the defense fully. They shut down A&M, but don't forget they got shredded by North Carolina. Defense not as good, in my opinion, as they showed last week. And, Troy's offense, Gunnar Watson's a quarterback that's experienced, and Troy covered the number in defeat against Ole Miss in their first game. So I like them in the road dog role. So I like Troy plus the points, UAB laying the points, and Georgia Southern UAB over. What do you think of those two games, Connor?
I'm passing on the Georgia Southern UAB. I know Troy's got a couple injuries, but give me the plus 14 here. I like how they played the last few years as a dog. I think this is too many. App State at home. That big win at A&M. They come back here, maybe a little bit flat. They should be up for it, but I just think this is too many. Troy's played them tough before. Give me the 14 there with Troy.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I like the over UAB Georgia Southern, two great offenses. I like what Ranch Reese is doing over there. Even though it could be a big, I'm going to call it letdown spot, coming off that big game. And App State, I'm going to fade them today too. I'm going to be on the Troy side. I think they cover that 14 easily.
All right, boss.
I like what Connor was saying with taking Troy. I'm just not too comfortable with Troy this year. We don't know what we're going to get out of them. But the quarterback over there at App State, we know that he could be sometimey from week to week, a great spot where he could play down and maybe they pull it off late to win. Maybe Troy goes up. So I'm not 100% certain on Troy's capabilities, and that's why I'm not getting involved with that one. And Georgia Southern ULB, this is a pass for me.
Kansas, Houston, 8.5-point home favorites, 58 the total. Another over for me, 58. Hard to bet Kansas games under. Such a good offense so far with Jalen Daniels, but their defense is still struggling. We saw that against West Virginia. And Houston's defense could really be tired. All right, they played back-to-back overtime games. The defense has been on the field for a lot of snaps, a lot of plays. Could see a reverberating effect here. And look, I've been pro-Kansas. I cashed a ticket with Kansas last week against West Virginia. Coming right back to them here. Getting points. This is an improving football team. Leipold's doing a nice job. Kansas again, plus the points again for me. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I like it at 9. I wish this was doubles because there's even some 8.5s. You know what? Initially, maybe this total, to the under, but I think at 58, this has come down too much. I'm with you. I think you go over here.
Now that it's 63, I'm not maybe a little lukewarm on this total. 58 now. With the way Kansas can score, Kansas is moving the ball. That offensive line for Kansas has been really good. So and they can match
Houston
up.
Houston should
here.
score too. I was shocked that this came down this sharp. It's interesting, this total.
They should. Clayton Tune in the offense, which has been kind of up and down in the first two games against Texas Tech and UTSA, but should move the ball here. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, it's got to be an over spot either way. I lean over. Both offenses are amped. Houston coming off two overtime games, or no, the overtime game and the other game that they played. So I think both teams bode well to the over here.
All right, boss.
Well, Houston's never beat Kansas, and they're 1-2 ATS versus Kansas. And this Kansas team, this is going to be the last week for y'all to jump on the Kansas train because the books are going to catch up after this. They are much better than they've been in the past. They've been kind of busting spreads. Even when they had Les Miles, they were busting spreads from here and there. But this Houston team, they're just playing out of fate right now because even though they got a win under their belt, they're not playing as well as they should. Big discrepancy in the stats that I seen was that Houston defense is allowing people to convert on third down, or only stopping people on third down 33% of the time. Kansas, on the other hand, 73% on third down. Those are the numbers that you want to take. This quarterback, Daniels, is playing excellent. Their offense is great. I agree with the over. I lean with the over as well because they don't play the greatest defense, but Houston doesn't play the greatest defense either. Both of these games that they had up to this point went well into the 30s or something like that. If you look at Houston overall, they're a little upside down. They're averaging 32 points a game. They're giving up 34 points a game. So this is a last opportunity for those who know, like all these guys on the show and most of these guys in the chat, that Kansas is one of those sleeper teams this year. It's your last chance to get them last weekend. Take that 9, put it in your pocket because you probably won't get a 9 again until they play some way higher opponents. So Kansas plus the 9 and lean over with you guys.
All right. Hit the like button. Yes, appreciate it. Over 300 live viewers. UL Monroe in Alabama. Bama 49.5 point home favorites, 61.5. I'm passing. I don't get involved in Bama games when they're this much of a spread. Now they might, because they didn't play their best against Texas. They might have a point to prove here and just absolutely destroy Monroe. But I'm not laying this much, and I certainly don't want Monroe. So pass for me. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, pass.
Big Ragoo?
Pass.
Boss.
It's a pass, but I think that Alabama takes it all out on them for that close game last week. Monroe is one of those bottom barrel teams.
Minus 32 is the first half number for Alabama. So, wow, look at that. Paying a tax on that one. All right, Colorado State, Washington State. Washington State, 16.5 point home favorites, 52.5 the total. I can't explain what happened to Colorado State last week. I think Middle Tennessee was very good, and Colorado State made them look awesome. That was shocking to me how bad they were. So I'm off this game. I feel like if you're going to fade Colorado State this week, you're now fading them, and they've made an adjustment down on Colorado State. And Washington State off the big win. This is not the spot for me to lay 16.5 with Washington State after beating Wisconsin on the road last week. So another easy pass. What do you think here, C-Mac?
This is a pass for me as well. I do look to this under here, though, a little bit. I haven't pulled the trigger, but that's my lean.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I would look towards the team total under Colorado State, but I pass on the game.
And Boss?
I hope Norvell gets his stuff kicked in again after what he did in this conference. And there was some stuff, I forget, there was some controversy that happened in that last game with the coaching staff and the fans or something like that. Big mess over there at Colorado State. Good opportunity for Washington State team to take advantage of it.
All right, we'll group the next two games, Liberty, Wake Forest, Marshall, Bowling Green. We've got Wake 17 against Liberty, Marshall 17 against Bowling Green. I'm passing on Liberty, Wake Forest. I lean under there. Marshall, Bowling Green. I'm on Bowling Green. It's the same spot we've talked about with App State, with a couple of these teams that had the Georgia Southern, teams that had the big wins last week, fading them a little bit. And look, I'm fading Marshall. It's not just a fade of Marshall. I think Bowling Green's improved. I've said that multiple times. Matt McDonald, the quarterback's been there for a while. The defense, the best defense they've had under the current coach, Scott Loeffler. And Marshall, huge. I saw the way Marshall was celebrating in South Bend after that win, crying, tears of joy, hugging the coaches. It was a very exuberant celebration after they beat Notre Dame. Bowling Green, I think, hangs with them today in a potential flat spot for Marshall, especially with the conference season coming up after this. What do you think here, Conor Mac, those two games?
Yeah, I think Wake can cover this number. I'm not going to be involved in it. And the other game, I'm with you a little bit here. I lean Bowling Green and the points at home.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Wake Forest is my Alabama. Give me Wake Forest first half, minus 10 points. I think Liberty won't be able to keep up with them. And then I would lean with you guys on the Bowling Green side.
All right, Boss.
Nothing on the Wake Forest game, but I do lean Marshall in the Bowling Green game. I said it on the show before about Ohio State and what happens to teams after they play Notre Dame, because people always step up to play them, especially at home, because of the great place it is to play. And like you said, you see how Marshall act after the game. I said it with Ohio State after they beat us, and Ohio State was a 44-point favorite the following game and didn't cover. So teams that play against Notre Dame the following game after, they usually don't cover. That 17's a big number. Marshall will be happy to get out of there with a 10-point win and go home. So I like Marshall as well.
All right, Bowling Green, you mean, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Bowling Green, I'm sorry.
No, I knew what you meant. Yeah, Henry Columby was very good last week, the Texas Tech transfer at quarterback from Marshall. So definitely an upgrade from Grant Wells, no doubt. Mississippi State, LSU, good SEC matchup. Mississippi State, 2.5 3-point road favorites in Baton Rouge, 53 the total. It's not a true night game at LSU because it's 6 p.m. Eastern, so it's like a very early evening game, if you will. Regardless, I like Mississippi State. I think they're the better team right now. I don't trust Brian Kelly. Did you see the screw-ups in the Florida State game? Bad special teams, breakdowns on defense, all kinds of problems in that game. I like the quarterback from Arizona State, Jaden Daniels, but there's room for – it's going to take LSU, I think, a little bit. And everything I've seen from Mississippi State, I've been impressed. They crushed Memphis, beat a pretty improving Arizona team on the road pretty handily. Will Rogers, as experienced as it gets in that air raid offense, short number where you just have to ask them to win the game. I think I'd only look at the Bulldogs here. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, this is a pass for me. As I'm high on Mississippi State, it's just not an easy spot here. And everyone, I get it, they want to jump on LSU because it's at home here, Death Valley. But there's proof, they got to be proof here with Kelly. Like, I got to see more to just go ahead and take them here, +3. So this is a watch for me.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm passing on this one too. My sentiments are with Connor. It's a tough spot for Miss State, but I think they're you just need a field goal to cover, which I think they can probably do. But I'm going to sit back and watch this one.
All right, boss.
Ooh, I'm popping popcorn for this one right here. I mean, this is what Kelly asked for. The SEC in and out. This is what he asked for. This is what he's going to get right here. He's going to see a Mississippi State team that sometimes they look like a freak of nature too, just a quiet team that'll get you. So I'm going to be watching this one and seeing what Brian Kelly, like I said, I kind of like what he did as far as where he plugged his transfers in and who he chose for his leadership. We'll see how well that works out against a true SEC opponent. When he played Florida State, it was a team that he played before. He had a good look on them from the inside. This team's a little different. At Notre Dame, I don't think he ever played Mississippi State, so he has to go do his work today. So let's see what Brian Kelly come up with.
All right, and by the way, Dabby Cab with Oklahoma, Nebraska live bet stream coming up right after us at noon Eastern. So make sure you tune in for that after Pub Hub. All right, next up, as we continue, we'll do these two games, group them together. Two big favorites here. Which dog has the better chance to cover? That's the question. Toledo, Ohio State. Ohio State 31-point home favorite, 62 the total. Tennessee hosting Akron. Tennessee 47.5-point home favorite, 67. For me, it's a clear choice. I absolutely think Toledo's got a much better chance to cover against Ohio State than Akron does against Tennessee. Akron's horrible. I don't want Akron, but I'm not laying that much with Tennessee. I'm on the points with Toledo. Ohio State's an overvalued freaking team right now. How good does that win against Notre Dame look now in the first week of the year? They struggled to pull away. How about last week against Arkansas State, where they struggled to pull, they didn't even come close to covering the number in that game, Ohio State, against Arkansas State, who's not a great Sun Belt team by any stretch. Toledo can play. I like what I've seen from Toledo. In-state, up for this game. Ohio State's got the Big Ten schedule starting next week. Toledo plus the points. I think they lose by 4 touchdowns or less. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Maybe you're right, but I'm not going to pay to play for sure. Every time Toledo's come to Ohio State, they got their ass whipped. So both these games are passes for me. What
do you think, Big Ragoo?
I got a pass on both spots, but Tennessee is going to be a long day for Akron for sure. They might cover that number in the first half, but I don't want none of it.
All right, boss.
I'm off both of them, but I would say if you like Toledo and the points, take them in the first half because Ohio State usually starts off fast or starts off slow.
All right, Charlotte, Georgia State. Georgia State, 20-point home favorite, 63 the total. Does Chris Reynolds return? And even if he does, it's a bad Charlotte team around him. There's no question about that. And the fact the money's still coming in on Georgia State makes me think he's out again at quarterback for Charlotte again in this game. And the backup quarterback was terrible last week against Merrill. I started out okay, but then it faded fast. Georgia State could hammer this team. I would look to lay the points with the Panthers here. Georgia State over a really weak, horrible Charlotte team. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, the Charlotte team is just horrible. It's crazy to say I'd lay it here. That'd be my lean, and I'd lean to this over as well.
All right, boss. Up, muted, boss.
I'm off both of them, but this is a good chance for Georgia State to give us a clear signal of who you really are. Like, we have expectations for them from last year. Of course, with a dual losses, we don't know what the upside to them is this year. But I like to watch this game right here just to get a good look to see how they're going to play during conference play.
All right, Arkansas State, Memphis, as well as UCF, Florida Atlantic, the next two games here. Memphis, 15-point home favorite, 64 the total. Florida, Central Florida, 8-point road favorite, 61.5 the total. I'm kind of tempted by Arkansas State plus the points. Their effort against Ohio State was commendable last week. I'm not laying these points with Memphis. I don't think highly of Memphis. Silverfield, I think, has this program going on the way down a little bit. I'm not impressed with the defense still. I'm not going to put too much stock in them crushing Navy because Navy's horrible. last week. Memphis, they're even worse than Memphis. So I lean to the dog. Arkansas State, UCF, Florida Atlantic. I lean over there, 61.5. Florida Atlantic's got a good offense with Perry, but that defense has been kind of shredded. Central Florida does have wide receiver injuries, though. It is worth noting that. And that offense didn't work against Louisville, but I still think I'd lean to the over there in that game. Maybe a lean to Florida Atlantic as well, but the number's already moved. What do you think, Conor Mac, those two?
Yeah, Arkansas State, Memphis is a dead pass for me. And I lean, though, with Florida Atlantic a little bit. It's not good enough to me to bet, but I lean them in the points.
All right, Boss.
I'm off of Memphis as well. I see a little light with UCF. Malzahn over there, I think, you got to be a master of your home state at least. But I think the numbers are a bit high. If I can get it a lot lower, it'd be more. I keep it inside of a field goal-ish, 3.5 or something like that. Like where it's at right now is a little bit too much because that game could go back and forth. It could also go over, and we get something in late. Maybe win by a field goal or something like that. So I'm off of it, but I lean UCF.
All right. South Florida, SMU, Maryland, next two games. Florida 23.5, 58 the total. Maryland 2.5-point home favorite, 72.5 the total. I think Florida bounces back. I still lean to the Gators here. I actually am going to take the Gators first half full game split. Small. The one concern is South Florida is going to be up for the game. I don't think they're very good, though. And Florida does have SEC play again starting next week, but after the loss to Kentucky, I don't think we'll take South Florida for granted. So I have a small bet first half full game split Gators in this game. The other game, SMU Maryland, I think Maryland wins less than a field goal. I played them small, but I like the over even more. It's going to be a shootout. Maryland with the little 2-0 move the ball. Tanner Mordecai, a good run game with Trey Siggers and company. SMU's got a good balance. They can run it. They can throw it. And Maryland's defense, still shaky at times. They're better, but I think this will be a true challenge for them here against this SMU offense, high-powered. It is under Rhett Lashley. So I think the over is the best way to go in that game. What do you think, Conor Mac, those two games, SMU, Maryland, South Florida, Florida?
Yeah, Florida has not been good at home in this role, covering points. And you're right, South Florida will be up for this game. I just seen how horrible this team is. They're supposed to get all these transferred. They gave up like 450 yards to Howard. So earlier in the week, I got the 13.5. I took them first half. Full game, maybe they call off the dogs. But I think Florida just takes care of business. It is, like you mentioned, a little bit sandwich spot going to SEC play, but I already bet it. So, yeah, first half Florida minus 13.5. And the other one, even at 72.5, 73, I don't know how. That's a ton of points, but it probably gets there. And I look to Southern Miss there, SMU. Give me a money
SMU
line.
there. All right, Boss.
I like Florida as well. How did Florida get so many home games back to back? That's great for them. Maybe this is the last one before they have to go on the road. So maybe they have fun and let it all out on the field. It'd be a great one for that squad. But I'm more interested in Maryland right here. I think it's a short number to a SMU team who does have some offense. But I like Maryland's front defensive 5 or 7, whatever they got in the box right there. I think that overall they'll last throughout the game. And right now they're only allowing 15.5 points a game. So I think this might be a game that does go under. You got two teams that are so alike that they're used to playing at the same speed. So I think this could be a clear under right here, and I like Maryland a lot.
All right, liking Maryland and maybe the under with that total. Boss thinking maybe just a bit too high. All right, Michigan State, Washington. Washington 3.5-point home favorites, 56 the total. I like the over here because Michigan State's better offensively, I think, than defensively. They haven't been tested. They'll be tested by Washington. Michael Penix Jr. looks like he's a great fit at quarterback, reunited with Kalen DeBoer, who was his offensive coordinator at Indiana years ago. That offense looks good. And the defense looks like it's taken a step back for Washington as well. And it's going to be tested for the first time as well. And keep in mind, Washington's playing faster compared to last year, a lot faster. They're throwing the ball a lot more. That's why they've been undervalued with their totals to the over. And it's why I've been on a bunch of them. So I like the over here. I don't want to bet against either team. I like both teams. I'd rather bet on Michigan State, rather bet on Washington. So I'm just going to look to the over here. What do you think, Conor Mac?
This is a pass for me. I don't want to get involved in this one at all. Is Washington really back and should be favored, by this with the hook? I don't think so. I lean Michigan State, but this is just a watch for me.
All right, Boss.
I'm not sure about this team right here. You know, I like DeBoer from coming over from Fresno State. But the big discrepancy with Washington was, I believe they lost their defensive backs coach, who was a great reason why they were putting a lot of DBs in the NFL, and that defense was so tough. So, like you said, that defense is slipping up a little bit right now. So I'm not sure if it's a great spot to play right here, but I'm gonna keep a good eye on this game.
All right, good stuff. All right, next up we've got, we'll do the next three games, group them together. Pitt, Western Michigan. Pitt, 10.5-point road favorites, 48 the total. Nevada, Iowa. Iowa, 24-point home favorites, 40 the total. And UL Lafayette, Rice. ULL, 11-point road favorites, 52 the total. Pass for me on Pitt, Western Michigan. We don't yet fully know what the quarterback status is for Keaton Slovis. He's questionable. It might be Nick Patty having to start in this game. Pat Narduzzi's a fucking bastard when it comes to divulging injury information, so we don't know exactly if it's going to be Slovis, so I'm staying off that game completely. Nevada, Iowa, under. I said it on Monday's show. I'm not laying that many with that Iowa offense. No way. It's that bad. But I don't trust Nevada to do a damn thing offensively against that Iowa defense. So I think the under is the best way to go there. And I'm laying the points with Lafayette. I think Rice is terrible. Chandler Rogers has been solid at the quarterback spot. I think they roll Rice by 2 touchdowns or more. Rice has no home field edge at all. So there you go. Those are 3 games there. Conor Mac, what do you think about those 3?
Yeah, I don't know if it matters who's at quarterback for Pitt, but there's no way I'm going to lay that under. We talked about it. Nevada, Iowa. God, even the points with them. I mean, Iowa, I think, will start scoring. I mentioned that as the weeks get in, but maybe not this week. So I lean the points. I'm with you. Lafayette's the best team, I think, in that division. I don't lay doubles on the road. They beat Rice, and I'd look over. I think that total's light. I think Rice could score a little bit. That's the only worry here is Rice scoring, but I'd lean a little bit to that over 50.
All right, boss, what do you think there?
I know that I like Iowa in the Iowa-Nevada matchup. I think they get over the points today. Nevada just not ready. You know, it's going to be a little while for they.
Can they score 24 points is the question, Iowa.
Exactly. But with a strong run game against a defense that's bleeding here and there, and then the defense, I mean, will Nevada be able to score against that defense is another too. I don't know. Maybe a team total for Nevada under, I don't know what number that is, might be the spot, but I don't expect Nevada to perform in this spot right here. And, you know, carb counting, so I'm passing on Rice.
All right, we'll group the next 3 games. We got 6 left. UTSA, Texas. Texas 12.5-point home favorites, 57 the total. Louisiana Tech, Clemson 33-point home favorites, 53 the total. And a big one, Miami Hurricanes, Texas A&M 6-point home favorites, 45 the total. I like UTSA in the over against Texas. I'm worried about the injuries. You know, Texas has quarterback issues. In terms of the over, that could hurt. You know, again, we'll have to wait and see. They're taking this right down to the wire in terms of who's going to play. We know Ewers is out. I think Hudson Card's good to go. Yep, they expect him to go. He's battling through an ankle injury. He was limping around against Alabama, but Sark says that Hudson Card is good enough to start against UTSA. UTSA, you know, is gung-ho for this game. They're amped up, you know, and I think they'll be fired up. And I think they're after Texas put everything into Alabama last week. UTSA talent-wise can hang, I think, in this game with getting 12.5 points. So I like the points with the road runners, like the over. I mentioned that Monday. Louisiana Tech, Clemson pass. I mean, I don't trust Louisiana Tech offensively at all. They've looked bad. But do I trust Clemson to score enough with still, you know, DJ Uiagalelei? A lot of the points against Georgia Tech were defensive scores, short fields, not necessarily a product of the offense moving the ball up and down the field. So I'm not ready to lay 33 with Clemson just yet. That's a pass. I'd take Miami or pass against A&M. If I'm going to see Haynes King again at quarterback, I'm not laying 6 with Haynes King after what I saw last week against App State. That offense didn't work, flat out. No way am I laying 6 with A&M. Lean Miami there. So what do you think, Conor Mac, those 3 games?
Yeah, UTSA, I lean them. I wish I was over 2 touchdowns, so that's a lean for me. I'm going to stay off La Tech Clemson. I lean under in that game. Clemson should shut them out, or La Tech's team total under.
I agree with that. Lean under Clemson. I like that. Yep.
Yeah, and King, he's not going to start. I think Johnson's in. What do we get from him? Can he spark something, for A&M? Ah, man, I don't think so. Like, I lean Miami, but I think it's a game I'm going to stay off. It's a good one to watch, but lean Miami.
Yeah, Max Johnson, of course. Yeah, transferring over from LSU. Yes, they have named him the starter. They were not sure initially, but yeah, it's official. Max Johnson. That will help A&M. Like I said, I just lean Miami, so it might be a game now I sit back because I got to believe Max Johnson's an upgrade from Haynes King. He has to be. Can't be worse. And he has played a bunch of games at LSU last year, so we'll see if Max Johnson, the quarterback switch, works for Jimbo here tonight. What do you think, boss?
I'm not too high on Max Johnson, that's for sure. I think he's one of those players that has some old NFL traits in him, and so he's always going to be given the benefit of the doubt and rated a little better than he really is. So I wouldn't pour that much into Max Johnson, and I kind of lean Miami as well. Clemson, great spot for them to run the score up on somebody and show that they are definitely want to be in the race for the playoffs this year. Now, this UTSA and Texas game, I said the UTSA train is going to come to an end somewhere, and Texas should be the one to bring it to them. I mean, this is like interstate rivalry that right down the street, so you should be taking the points in this one. But we don't know what we got out of Texas. Like you said, Sarkisian, he had all his game towards taking that test against Alabama. The offensive sets, if you watch that game, the motion, and he came up with some crazy looking wishbone, triple lie formation motion. And, Alabama is done now. All of that was for Alabama. Those kind of things, I'm not sure if they'll work against a team like UTSA, but I'm going to stay off of it as well. But I'm hoping that Texas finally stump out this UTSA. I don't want to go week for week still around here thinking that UTSA really going to do something this year. So I'm going to stay off of it, though.
All right, going to look to stay off it here in this one. We lost Conor Mac. We've lost Big Ragoo. The beach reception not going well, but hopefully we get them back before the end of the show. We'll wrap up with the last three games on this Saturday college football card. All West Coast late night action. I'm sure you, boss, you'll be watching these as will I. Lots of West Coast action here. San Diego State, Utah. Utah 21-point home favorites, 48 the total. Fresno State, USC. USC 11-point home favorites, 71 the total there. And Arizona State 20.5-point home favorites against Eastern Michigan, 56.5 the total. I could only take Utah against San Diego State. Because at Salt Lake City, they are a juggernaut there. We know that. And I think San Diego State has no quarterback. What else is new with Braxton Burmeister? But do I want to lay 21? I don't love the number. I think it's a rich number on Utah. But I can't take the Aztecs. I'm not taking the Aztecs. I have no interest taking the Aztecs. So Utah or pass. Fresno, USC, I like the dog and I like the over. Jake Haener and Fresno State beat UCLA last year on the road. They almost beat Oregon on the road. They play well in these games against Pac-12 teams on the road. The 2-0 ATS last year on the road in the Pac-12. He's a good quarterback. That's a good offense. I think USC is overvalued after beating Rice and Stanford. This is probably going to be their toughest game. I like the points with Fresno. I like the over. It should be high scoring. And Eastern Michigan, Arizona State, I lean Eastern Michigan just a little bit because they're good in the underdog role under Chris Creighton, but I don't love it because I don't think this is as good an Eastern Michigan team. And I don't think Arizona State's good enough this year to be laying 3 touchdowns. So small lean to EMU there. Boss, what do you think of the 3 West Coast late night matchups?
Well, I'm going to say San Diego State, Utah. I mean, I expect Hope to improve on defense at some point. Like, that's his high point of his team. So laying 3 touchdowns with Utah, I wouldn't be really willing to do that. But the San Diego State said it from the beginning of the season, everything rides on them returning a quarterback. And if they didn't return a quarterback that's going to be able to take care of them in that spot. So I'm off that game. It's a Mountain West matchup. I would have loved to find the angle to take San Diego State plus those points, but I just can't justify it. And in the Eastern Michigan and Arizona State game, I'm totally off that game. But Fresno State, USC, I've been on the USC train. I took them minus, 30 or something the first week, minus so many points versus a Stanford team. And I said before about Jake Haener and the Fresno State team, I'm not sure after he fake left and came back or whatever, that the team is really settled with that. He's a great quarterback, great skill set. He's going to get some touchdowns and some good throws. But this USC team is trying to return back to a Pete Carroll level. The secondary over there, they are active. I mean, they had some goal line turnarounds over there. People will tell you that Stanford might have should have won that game, minus some mishaps 3 times in the red zone. But you got to give USC the credit that they played at a level that allowed them to get those. Those were legitimate picks, legitimate fumbles, and all those stuff. So I think that secondary at USC is very turned up. If there is a prop in there for Haener to throw an interception, because I think he only has 1 for the season or 0. No, he hasn't had any for the season. He will throw an interception to this USC team. The game will be played in the trenches. USC is a lot smaller in the trenches than they ever been. So I'm expecting some improvement on the defensive line that should make them a little better because they're a little quality and talented. It just hasn't all came together. And they should stump out that Fresno State line. We seen in the Fresno State-Oregon State game that they bottled Haener up, got to him, sacked him, and some more stuff. So there's some issues on that offensive line that even though they are pass heavy and could handle a team like USC with their offense, not having that line in place is going to hurt them. And USC is trying to run it up week by week. This is the transfer portal all-stars right here. And I think that they cover the points today. I'm taking SC minus 11. I like that it's going down some. I think they're going to get them by at least like 17.
All right. Liking that Fresno's success recently against the Pac-12 will not continue tonight, says Boss. All right, we got Big Ragoo back with us here. Finally, got good reception. Let us know anything game that you haven't been able to talk about yet. We'll just give you the floor. What do you like for the remaining games that you want to talk about?
I like Fresno State. I'm going against my guy.
All right.
I bet it early in the week. Team total over 30.5. I don't know what it's sitting at now, but I know when the points were moving on this game to USC's favor. Obviously, the total was going up, and I had a little bit of a total look, so I didn't get to that. But all the value went to US. All the points and total with the points went to a team total over. Where USC went way up, and same thing with the full game total. So I thought some of the value was still there on the team total over for Fresno, so I jumped on that. And then did you guys you guys already talked about the A&M game, right?
That's
Miami?
right. Yep.
Okay. This is my biggest bet of the day. I love A&M first half. That's going to be my biggest play of the day. I think they come out. They come out with some intention, with some focus. They made the switch at quarterback, obviously. That's the big news of the week. I don't think Jimbo's going to want to I'm not going to say they're going to impose their will in Miami, but I think they will push Miami around pretty much so in the first half. And then it might tighten up in the second half. But I like A&M first half big, and I like Fresno State team total over.
All right. Conor Mac, the last 3 games, what do you like?
I love Utah. This is where at Salt Lake, I say it all the time. Man, this might be too big. I know San Diego State's sliding a bit. I lean to the points, especially if you can get more 21.5. I think their defense could just keep them within 3 scores. Nothing Eastern Michigan, Arizona State. And yeah, I'm on Fresno State. I took the plus 13.5. I know it's down to 11.5. I mean, it's tough. I still like it there. I think this game's close. I think they will be up for this. This game is at the Coliseum. I don't love it, but I think they'll be up for it. I think we get a shootout. I think Haener and them keep it close within 10 points. So, Fresno.
Well, I forgot about UTEP, New Mexico. I could only take UTEP at less than a field goal. I think there's actually a discount now on UTEP in that game. I lean UTEP, maybe a small bet there, but that's about it. Boss, Conor Mac, Big Ragoo, did you have anything UTEP, New Mexico?
Yeah, no. I lean UTEP also. I think they've had a couple rough games. They're better than what they've been playing, so I think this is a good spot for them to get right.
All right, there you go. So UTEP, New Mexico there. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. Hit the like button. Dabby Cab's got Oklahoma, Nebraska live bet stream coming right up. We'll get to best bets in just a second. But first, of course, as we always do, we've got our sponsors here coming up with Manscaped and Southtown 101. Southtown 101, when you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, and Manscaped. Promo code PubSports, 20% off your purchase. Lawnmower 4.0, any Manscaped product, 20% off with promo code PubSports. All right, best bets to wrap it up. I'm undefeated with best bets on the show so far, so the pressure's on to keep it going. We've done pretty well with them so far. See if we can keep it going. Conor Mac, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet today?
Pitt got me, man, last week. That was rough.
Should have won that game.
Oh, they should have. That was, to have that many points in an overtime, and you can't. That's horrible. I already bet Florida first half minus 13.5. I gave that earlier in the week, but I have a couple more. But I'm taking the over 57.5. There's 58. Go at 58. Kansas, Houston, and also double up +9. I think they cover, but I like the over even better in that game.
There you go. Best bet, Kansas, Houston over the total for Conor Mac. Slight chance of thunderstorms, but I looked at the forecast in Houston. It's not going to be anything significant. I think no wind. That's the more important thing when it comes to overs being affected. All right, Big Ragoo, what do you like? Best bet.
I think I tipped my hat on that last breakdown of A&M. Yeah. I think they come out rolling and ready to go, and Jimbo had the troops fired up. Too much talent, not enough production, so they get it done today. A&M first half, smash it.
There it is, A&M first half against Miami. Best bet, Big Ragoo.
3?
Boss, best bet.
3 points, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you see this little guy right here?
Yes.
Meet my little guy Hudson right here. This is the mascot for Old Dominion. So Virginia says they won't let little Hudson on the field this weekend. I don't know why. Are they scared of a little puppy or something? So I'm gonna go ahead and take OD plus the 9.5, interstate rival, not letting little Hudson on the field. If Peter won't speak up for you, Hudson, I'm going to speak up for you today. Best bet, OD plus 9.5.
There you go. Sticking up for his dogs right there. DJ Big Boss, ODU plus the points in that one. My best bet for this Saturday card, a good one, lots to choose from. I'm going to go with the this is a tough call. I was undefeated. Pressure's on to keep it that way. There's lots to like here. I'm going to go with that Vanderbilt Northern Illinois over. I like it. I just think both defenses are very, very shaky. Let's see if we can keep the best bet streak undefeated here. Vanderbilt Northern Illinois over 58.5, the best number out there right now. Let's go with that for my best bet. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Make sure you get your asses over to Dabby Cab's live bet stream, Oklahoma, Nebraska, just getting underway. Tune in for that. We will be back next Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern, for another edition of the College Football Pub Hub right here on Pub Sports Radio. For Conor Mac, Big Ragoo, DJ Big Boss, Ian Cameron, have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you again next week, once again, for another edition of the Pub Hub.